Hello Year 7, Stumpy here again with another catch-up video. This week we've been looking at how we know something is living. We talked about Mrs. Gren, and this video is linked on Google Classroom for you to watch again today if you need to. The previous video I made for you looked at generalised animal and plant cells. Organisms like us are not normally made only of generalised cells. We have developed specialised cells that have adaptations to allow them to complete specific functions. This video will go over the specialised cells that you researched last lesson. You should add any extra functions or adaptations that you did not find to your sheet in a blue pen. Plants absorb water from the soil by osmosis. They absorb mineral ions by active transport against the concentration gradient. Root hair cells are adapted for taking up water and mineral ions by having large surface areas to increase the rate of absorption. They also contain lots of mitochondria, which release energy from glucose during respiration in order to provide the energy needed for active transport. The absorbed water is transported through the roots to the rest of the plant, where it is used for different purposes. Sperm are the male sex cell. They are made in the testes after puberty. They join with an egg cell during fertilization to form an embryo, which can then develop into new life. The following features make them well suited to this function. A tail moves them towards an egg cell. Many mitochondria release energy for movement. Part of the tip of the head of the sperm, called the acrosome, releases enzymes to digest the egg membrane to allow fertilization to take place. The haploid nucleus contains the genetic material for fertilization. Sperm are produced in large numbers to increase the chance of fertilization. Red blood cells carry oxygen around the body, which is needed for respiration. They're well suited to this function because they contain hemoglobin, which carries the oxygen. They don't have a nucleus, allowing more space to carry oxygen. Their flat disc shape, which dips on both sides, biconcave, gives them a large surface area and the best chance of absorbing as much oxygen as they can in the lungs. Light absorption happens in the palisade mesophyll tissue of the leaf. Palisade cells are column-shaped and packed with many chloroplasts. They're arranged closely together so that lots of light energy can be absorbed. Muscle cells are found in bundles which make up our muscles. These cells are able to contract, get shorter and relax, return to their original length. There are different types of muscle cells, each perfectly adapted to its function. Cardiac or heart muscle cells contract and relax to pump blood around our bodies for our entire lives. They never get tired. Smooth muscle cells make up thin sheets of muscle, such as the stomach lining. They can also be arranged in bundles or rings like that in the anus. Skeletal muscle is joined to the bones. Its cells contract to make the bones move and joints bend. Nerve cells transmit electrical signals in the nervous system. They are well suited to their function because they're thin and can be more than 1 meter long in your spinal cord. This means they can carry messages up and down the body over large distances very quickly. Nerve cells have branched connections at each end. These join to other nerve cells, allowing them to pass messages around the body. They have a fatty myelin sheath that surrounds them. The fatty sheath increases the speed at which the message can travel. Ciliated cells are found in the airways. They have tiny hairs on their tops called cilia, which beat in rhythm. These hairs move mucus containing dust and other particles upwards and out of the airways. Ciliated cells are also found in the oviducts. Here the tiny hairs beat to move the egg from the ovaries to the uterus. Eggs are the female sex cells. They're made in the ovaries before birth. Usually 1 egg is released each month during the menstrual cycle, but sometimes this number may be higher. They join with the sperm cell during fertilization to form an embryo, which can then develop into new life. They're well suited to this function because the egg cell cytoplasm contains nutrients for the growth of the early embryo. The haploid nucleus contains genetic material for fertilization, and the cell membrane changes after fertilization by a single sperm so that no more sperm can enter. About 70% of white blood cells are phagocytes. Phagocytes engulf and destroy unwanted microorganisms that enter the blood by a process of phagocytosis. They are part of the body's immune system. Lymphocytes make up about 25% of white blood cells. They're also part of the body's immune system. Lymphocytes produce soluble proteins called antibodies. When a foreign body, such as a microorganism, enters the body,